Greetings, this is Maerlande. Some may know me from the Dom3 Mods forum or the Desura forums. I've been playing this game a great deal of time, so I'm preparing for my Spectacle of Perspicuity game and going to design my pretender. The very first step is we need to set the mod. In this case, in our game, we're going to be playing with CBM 1.94, the basic edition. So it is now enabled and we can move on. We'll do a test game. This way we can check the units and go over the nation. It doesn't matter the map and it doesn't matter the name of the game. I have selected Early Age Riley as my nation. So we'll pick the nation and begin the game. We don't need to set the other opponent, and we're not at this time going to prepare a pretender. We're just going to use the default, not going to worry about any of the settings, and we begin. So we look at our recruit screen on our capital fort and see what we have for choices. First off the bat is our core unit, the capital only Mindlord. A very powerful mage, very expensive at 420 gold. It's amphibious, it's a magic being, and it has dark vision, all of which are helpful. Its base magic is water and astral, with very good randoms. You will get some with 2 in a path. Most will have extras in the options of the 4. Those 2s are valuable. An Earth 2 or a Death 2 is a very useful mage. Next we'll move on and we'll have a look at the Aboleth. The Aboleth you can recruit in any province you like. It's 200 gold and its randoms are not nearly as powerful, but it's the core of your mage basis. Then we have the Polypal Mother. The important thing to note about the Polypal Mother is that it automatically summons Polypal Spawn and Gibadai. Gibadai are your ranged Mind Blaster units. Very important to the strategy of Relay. It's holy and it cannot move. This is key. It will sit in your forts and preach and do nothing else. It will fight when attacked and has some ability to fight. But it's very critical to follow and understand that it cannot move. It's sacred, but a bless will not be of great value. We continue on with our troop review. We have the Slave Mage, a decent mage, but the most important thing to note is it can get a random of nature. You're going to have to buy quite a few. It's only a 1 in 4 chance, but not a very useful mage for your overall use. You have a basic priest, useful to get mobile and make temples. You have the Slave Prince, which is not a bad thug and a decent commander. It has some other options. It does have some fairly high encumbrance. That's something to keep in mind. You have a basic amphibious scout. Does have dark vision. That is of some value. Going over to the units. The core units do require some production or some resources. Not a great deal. You have the Slave Guardian in the amphibious version. 9 gold, 12 resources. A decent unit for getting on land, but it does not have a shield. Then you have the Slave Guardian in the Triton version, which is aquatic only, but this is a strong unit. Then you have the Slave Troll. The Slave Troll is 70 gold, 25 resources. It has a tendency to not do very well. It eats a lot of gold, and the most important thing it has terrible attack and terrible defense. So it can hold up due to its regeneration and hold a wall, but it really can't kill anything. I recommend you minimize the use of these. I used to use them and have found them to be less than stellar. Moving on, our next unit is the 2 interesting and mindless units. First off, the Lobel Guard. It's a magic being, it's mindless, therefore will never run away, and it has dark vision and it's amphibious. But the trick is that they don't kill well, so effectively they're just meat shields. You have the Shambler Thrall, a bigger version of the same idea, but it can trample and it's size 3. Size 3 means it will trample ordinary troops. It's a magic being. It can kill a little bit with its claw, but not a lot. And at 25 gold, the upkeep will be pretty high. These die like flies, but you can use them. Now, we're going to have a look. One thing you have to keep in mind is that magic leadership is critical for Riley. All of your free spawn require magic leadership, so magic 20 on the slave mage is not very useful. Going to the Aboleth, you've got magic leadership 150, so that's going to be your core unit for moving your hordes of magic troops. The Mind Lord as well at 160, plus the bonus from its randoms. But, again, these are key. Magic leadership will make or break your ability to move about. The next very important thing to review are our ranged troops. We have the Giboleth. The Giboleth is not sacred, it's a magic being, but it has a Mind Blast and a couple tentacle attacks. It does have some melee capability, but not great. The Mind Blast is the key. The Mind Blast paralyzes, which lets other units do the killing. It does do some small amount of damage. It does 1 damage plus the Dominion's random number, and that will kill slowly but should not be relied on. More important is to use some other unit to kill the paralyzed troops. But the Gibidai is the most important. This is the one that we free spawn from our Polypal mothers. It's sacred, is a life drain in the tentacle and the Mind Blast. Same Mind Blast as the Giboleth. Important thing to note is the Mind Blast only has 10 shots. Now some of the other troops, you have the Slave Trooper with Spear, best avoided. You have the Merman Slave Trooper, which is amphibious with a net. These are useful. A net with 1 shot can take defense and attack to 0, allowing some other troop to get the kill. You also have Slave Troopers that are weaker and have no armor. I would recommend not using them. So putting this all together, we're going to make a great number of Mind Lords at our capital. We're going to make Polypal Brothers at each fort. Up to a point, you can overdo the free spawn. We're going to use a core of our Slave Troopers with the heavy armor. And we're going to have the free spawn Polypal spawn and the free spawn Gibidai. Putting this together, we can see that we're going to need a lot of gold and very little resources. So Order and Sloth will be suitable. We also have a single but very useful unit that is sacred, the Gibidai. And I think that we're going to put a bless on that in order to get the most out of the Gibidai. So now we'll move on and build a Pretender. I'm not going to go over all of the options that I reviewed when I was choosing the Pretender. I'm simply going to show you the one I selected. Hit Game Tools and build a Pretender. Create Pretender God, Early Ages, and Rely. I selected to use a Master Lich. The Master Lich is a very economical Pretender with some rainbow ability, but most importantly it has Dominion 3 and it has Death 3, and I chose to go with the Death 9 Bless. It's going to power up the Gibidai in melee, somewhat power them up at ranged, and give us some additional killing power with a unit we're going to have large numbers of. We're going to make it imprisoned to get the maximum scales we can get. Now we're going to select our magic and select our bless. Death 9 gets us massive affliction chances, which will work with ranged, and will also give us the death weapons, which do add a significant amount of extra damage. I've tossed on Earth 4. That is useful for thugs and keeps them reinvigorated. And then we'll go do our scales. With leftover points, we'll buy what extra magic we can choose. There shouldn't be too much leftover points, so we're going to go maximum Dominion. Water nations have a problem keeping Dominion up. We're already decided we'll pick Order 3 for good gold, but we'll go Sloth 3 to give us some more points. We'll also choose Cold 3. In underwater provinces, cold doesn't affect gold, and most importantly it synergizes with water magic. Grow 3 improves our gold and also makes our gold grow as time goes on. We have a few points left, and one path that's extremely useful is some fire. There's some cross path forging with earth and with death, and it's adds on, and also using the key Voice of Tiamat spell, we're going to be ready for some fire gems produced underwater. And my silly name, Death Becomes Me. That is the conclusion of this first video on Pretender Design. Thank you very much, and hope to see you in game.